Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. My name is Nika Marie, aka Neeks, here with another book review for you. Hooray! Today we will be talking about Parable of the Sower. Sower. Parable of the Sower is a dystopian novel published in 1993 that follows our main character Lauren through the disturbing hellscape that has become the United States of America in 2025. I think it's like 2025 or 2024. This book holds up a really disturbing and dirty mirror to all of the people inside of the story and honestly people out in real life. Before we get into spoilers, let me go through a few pros and the one con I had about this book. Okay, two cons, but the second con is not something that I will use to dock the book any points. I think that it was really well done and you'll see why. So pros. The writing in this story propels you forward and propels you where you need to be emotionally. If you are not feeling anything, you are not reading the book correctly. Period. This is a sci-fi novel as in science fiction, but it is very grounded and it is very human to an almost disturbing degree. It is an easy read in terms of vocabulary and writing style. In fact, I would dare say it's perfect for its writing style, but it is hard when you talk about the subject matter inside of the book. Cons. The one major con that I had about this book was that it started out sounding like it was about to be very pro-religion, pro-organized religion, pro-Christianity, and I'm not one to tell you what to believe in. However, that's just not my cup of tea. I'm not a super religious person. I'm not an atheist. I practice in my own way.
And that's that on that.
The con that was kind of a con but turned out to not be a con was that I am not a fan of journal entry narration. I just never have been a fan of that style, but this book does it so well. I was intrigued. I was ready to read all of these journal entries as though like I'm reading my sister's diary. It was that interesting. Not that I would ever read my little sister's diary. I respect her privacy as an individual. Oh my god, she's gonna watch this and be like, wow. And here we go into spoilers. So one of the major questions that kept popping into my mind was, how do you love and how do you reconcile loving a psychopath? In the story, Lauren has a younger brother who has some issues. He doesn't really like her. He doesn't really like his father. He treats his mother and the younger siblings who share a mother with him a lot better than he treats Lauren and the father. He's also willfully violent. He's also willfully ignorant of things. He wants to inflict violence on those he perceives to be a threat to himself, not because he'd be protecting the community, but because he wants to shoot somebody. It's a little disturbing, but we all know someone like that, and if you don't, it's probably you. In the story, Keith ends up suffering a beating at the hands of their father because of all of these things, and because of this beating, he ends up leaving the community and joining one of the many gangs that are circulating their community. He does come back on occasion to give money to his mother and to give goodies to their little siblings. However, he never brings anything for Lauren and nothing for his dad, obviously. I do not think he's doing this out of the goodness of his own heart. I think he's doing it to say, hey, fuck you, old man. I can provide better for this family than you ever could. Because their father is a minister, a priest, minister, pastor. This is how you know I haven't been in a church. So I don't think he was doing it out of the goodness of his heart. I think he was doing it to one up the old man. And I think he was doing it to kind of say fuck you to Lauren as well. He's never liked her. She's never really liked him. I think that's what that was for. Keith ends up dying a very horrible and gruesome death, which they are all privy to as they have to see his body at the final viewing, you know what I mean? So Lauren has this moment after he's dead where she has to ask herself, how can I love him? Did I love him? Did I ever love him? How can you love a psychopath? I think I would have loved to see even just another page of her working through that, because it's hard to reconcile loving someone close to you who has done something terrible. And again, I think we all know someone like that to a varying degree. I think we've all had to go through that. You know, how can I love this person for what they've done or despite what they've done? And I thought it was a very interesting thing that I haven't quite seen done so well in a novel before. This book also brings up the notion of, are people naturally good or naturally bad? I think this is something that we have all been asking ourselves from the dawn of time as a humanity, as a species, and this book does not do any better of answering that question for you. I think that Lauren as a character is brilliant. She's a 17-year-old young black woman living in a dystopian world where there are still race issues. The environmental issues have taken their toll. Everyone's been killing everybody for what little resources they can afford, and it's just like everything in this book made me uncomfortable and it made me think. So In the story, Lauren is obviously a good person. I don't think naturally so. She has her own ulterior motives for helping people. You know, she's trying to induct people into Earthseed. Earthseed being the religion that she's working on. Because she's kind of like me in the sense that this is where I related to Lauren a lot. She didn't quite agree with the teachings of Christianity, the teachings of her father. So she started formulating her own system of beliefs and called it Earthseed. And when she's helping people, she always mentions Earthseed.
You can travel with me and my band of merry men
if you join Earthseed and you practice the practices of Earthseed. So while she is good, I still can see that there are ulterior motives behind what she does. And for the naturally bad, in this book, you get rather graphic detail of people stealing and killing and raping and pillaging and lighting fires because they're on drugs. And it's just like, I don't know, I had a hard time getting through this book just because of the subject matter. It was brilliantly written. I just could not take the realness, the real shit that was going on, and it was really rough on me. So I still don't have an answer for that question. Are people naturally good or naturally bad? But I do have I'm reaffirmed in my decision to try and be a good person at all times. So hopefully that's what you guys take away from it if you do read this book. If you haven't read this book, read this book. There are various other things in this book that I could go on and on about, but at the risk of making this video too long, I will cap it off and then get into my final thoughts right after this statement. So Lauren has this moment in the book where she's talking to what would ostensibly be her boyfriend when she's in the community, and he's like, marry me and, you know, we'll have kids or whatever, and she's 17. She's 17 at this moment, or rather she was like 16-ish when that moment happened in the book. But she's already realizing that having a child in that landscape is not going to be beneficial for her or the child after she watches other children in her community die from neglect or from hunger or from the many violent attacks that they suffer. So it's just really interesting to me to see a young woman in a story echo the thoughts that I had when I was a young woman and thoughts that I still have now as a woman. I'm not going to tell you how old I am, but I have those thoughts. It's just weird for me to read something that hits so close to home, not because this was a African-American character, not because it was a woman character, but because it is a character who's kind of echoing things that have been in my brain that I have never said aloud before a certain point in my life. And final thoughts. Octavia E. Butler created this brilliant story that actually has a sequel that I'm almost afraid to pick up. Parable of the Talents, I believe, is book 2. I believe that I will read that book, but I do think I still need time. I actually finished this book about 2 months ago. I've been really struggling to make this video because there's a lot in this book that I think people need to know about, and there's a lot in this book that I feel like people would be afraid to look into. At the conclusion though, I would rate this story on its own a 5 out of 5. I didn't find anything awful about it. I didn't find anything that I disliked about it in a way that would detract from the book. I disliked the amount of violence for sure, but again, it holds up a disturbing mirror to people, and I think that if you read this book and you don't think about how you treat people, how you would treat yourself, how you treat complete and total strangers, then you didn't read it right. This is a brilliant book, and it came out in 1993. Not that the time period has anything to do with quality of work. I'm just saying it's one of those books that will go down in history as being timeless. So yeah, at the end of this, I hope that you will take the time to read Parable of the Sower by Octavia E. Butler. Want more people to be talking about this book, especially today as we near those 2024 timelines. You know what I'm saying? I don't want it to be prophetic, but it's feeling a little prophetic right now. You feel me? Thank you guys for watching this review. I am Nika Marie, aka Neeks. Maybe you subscribe, maybe you give a thumbs up, maybe you come back next time for the next book review. I don't know. That's your life. I'm not here to tell you what to do. But until next time, bye!